see some people hopping in. Well, hello, everyone, as everyone comes in to join us today. Today's webinar is the Advanced Skills and Supported Employment webinar series, session 3, career advancement supporting service participants in moving beyond entry-level positions. Next slide, Joan. One more for me. Okay, this webinar is sponsored by the Northeastern Caribbean Mental Health Technology Transfer Center, or the MHTTC, housed at Rutgers, the School of Health-Related Professions, and the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions. My name is Sean Karazak. I'm the evaluator on the program of the center, and I'll be introducing our center and our presenter today. Back one slide for me, Joni. The MHTTC is funded by SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, to enhance the capacity of behavioral health workforce and deliver evidence-based and promising practices to individuals with mental health conditions. We also address the full continuum services spanning mental illness prevention, treatment, and recovery supports. And we provide training related to workforces that includes police and first responders, primary care providers, vocational services, to provide effective services to people with mental illnesses. We also utilize supplemental funding to support school teachers and staff to address student mental health. And we offer trainings on evidence-based practices, wellness and recovery, school mental health, Hispanic and Latinx, and online educational courses. If you're interested in staying up to date with events and products at our center, you can sign up to receive email notifications, and I'll include this link in the chat in just a minute. Next slide. Yep. Following the webinar, you'll be asked to complete a brief survey. We value this feedback and use it to improve our activities and inform future activities. These surveys are also important because our continued funding is linked to their completion. So we thank you in advance for giving us your feedback. Just a reminder that today's webinar is being recorded, and we'll post a copy of it within 7 days to our website. Next slide. Yep. At the time of this presentation, Miriam Delphin Rittman is serving as acting assistant secretary for the mental health and substance use at SAMHSA. The opinions herein are the views of the speakers and do not reflect the official position of the Department of Health and Human Services or SAMHSA. Next slide. We encourage you to interact with our presenters during the webinar using the chat feature. Please post any comments or questions you have to the chat, and I'll collect the questions and provide them to the presenter during the questions and answer time at the end of the presentation. During the webinar, our presenter may pose questions to you, so please use the chat feature to answer any of those questions. We also just want to let you know that there's a new 3-digit dialing code for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is now available. 988 is not just a suicide crisis line. It's also for people experiencing suicidal, mental health, or substance use crisis of any kind. It's also for people who are trying to connect for someone who's experiencing crisis. So you can connect by calling or texting 988 or chat online at 988lifeline.org. The MHTTC network is committed to using affirming, respectful, and recovery-oriented language in all of our activities. So now let's begin our webinar. So today we have Joni Dulce with us. Joni Dulce is an assistant professor at the Department of Psychiatric Rehabilitation and Counseling Professions at Rutgers School of Health Professions. Joni has several years of experience working in behavioral healthcare settings, namely supported employment. So Joni, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Sean. Welcome, everyone. So just to dive into our webinar today and talk about some objectives, we are going to identify different approaches to assist job seekers and supported employees and individuals that you're supporting who are currently working in moving beyond entry-level positions. We're also going to talk about building social capital and how that impacts career advancement or career development. And then finally, we're going to describe strategies to assist individuals in advancing in their careers, namely tools like requesting a promotion or salary increase, identifying when it's time to move out of their current position. So why don't we get started talking about what does career advancement mean to you? So you can use the chat, or if you wanted to raise your hand and Sean can unmute your mic, but chat might be the best method. So think about, what does career advancement mean to you? So let's talk a little bit about what that means. So I'll give you a little bit of time to write in the chat to identify, what is career advancement? What does it mean to you? And as we're waiting to hear from folks in the chat, this is something that you want to encourage job seekers and individuals that you're working with to define what is career advancement to them. You want to be working on the same page. You want to understand what it means to them so that you can assist them in either requesting a salary increase or promotion or moving beyond. Paige mentions in the chat, moving into a position that reflects your education and experience. Yes. So career advancement can mean an increased wage, more money, a bigger job title, more prestige, maybe more enjoyable work. Looks like we have a couple more responses here. Thank you, Danielle. Opportunity to take the next step in giving expression to your talents, gifts, strengths, and being able to build up those skills. Yes, having that opportunity to take the next step and to really use and express what your talents and skills are and build on those skills. Jennifer mentions promotion, higher salary, advancing in leadership. Absolutely. So those are certainly how career advancement is defined. And if you notice, it's not people who responded in the chat, it's not the same response. So it means something different to all of us. And we want to clarify and help the person that we're working with identify, what is it to them? Is it being recognized? Is it having more freedom, having more flexibility? It doesn't mean the same to everyone. And then let's think about the second question. Why might someone want to advance in their career? So think about your own careers, or think about why someone might want to advance in their careers. Why would someone want to take it to the next level? Use your chat. If you want to raise your hand and unmute your mic, Sean can do that for you. And again, these are prompts that we could be trying to elicit information from individuals that we're working with so that we can best support them in their endeavors. Jennifer's mentioning promotion, better quality of life. So having a better quality of life, having more flexibility, maybe having opportunities to work from home or access different modifications or supports on the job. Paige mentions to be challenged, to make more money, to grow as a professional. So again, we have different reasons why we would want to advance in our career. It might be boredom. Someone just might feel that they're stagnant and they're in this place of mediocrity or lack of movement, and that boredom or that complacency, if you will, prompts some interest to advance in the career. People may feel that they deserve more money. They're doing a lot of work, hard work, important work, and they deserve to be recognized for that. People may also dislike their coworkers or their supervisors, or the actual work that they do. Maybe the work isn't as challenging as it once was. And then also really being aware of maybe the work-life balance is off. Maybe someone feels like they're not balanced in terms of their work life, and they're dissatisfied with that. Of many individuals that you may be working with in supported employment or other vocational services, also may want to get out of the secondary job market. If you think about the jobs that you've had throughout your career, think about how many jobs you've had in your life. What was the longest? What was the shortest job? What did you like most? What did you like least? You have a lot of career and job experience to draw on. And many people may have started out in the secondary job market, and we're going to talk about the secondary compared to primary job market in just a bit. And your goal was to advance out of the secondary job market into the primary job market. And many of you may have gone back to school or may have done other trainings or obtained other certifications to do that. So this slide clearly depicts the difference in earnings and rates of employment between the primary and secondary job markets. So if you notice, this goes by degree level. So at the bottom there is less than high school diploma, maybe even some college, no degree, typically in the secondary job market. Secondary job market are more per hour type positions that you may not receive benefits in, may not receive flex time or other perks or fringe benefits as you would in the primary job market. Primary job market consists a lot of more professional positions, more salaried positions, advancement opportunities, flexibility among those types of positions. And as you can see, the primary job market, the higher your education level, and this is related to career advancement because we really want to promote education or certifications or additional trainings. We can clearly see you're insulated from unemployment more when the higher you advance with your degree and education, and your earnings are certainly much more too. Job seekers in the primary job market are able to be more economically independent and move out of poverty and move out into independent positions. So this slide here is really to talk about, there are many faces, many aspects and kind of ways to define career advancement. There are lateral moves that you can make within a company or an organization. A lateral move might look like maybe a new job within that same company, but not necessarily a change in responsibility or a change in status or in pay. This lateral move might provide more opportunities for the person to move up into another, area of that organization. It may not, in the moment, be advance in salary or other opportunities, but maybe making a lateral move into another department or another area of the organization could provide more advancement opportunities within that rung of the organization. This idea of enrichment, so growing in place, focus on making the current job maybe more challenging, maybe talking with individuals that you're working with about this. What opportunities are available to make the job more challenging or provide more opportunities or exposure to make the job more meaningful to them? So maybe training opportunities, maybe being part of more informal committees or other types of sort of not within your job description, but other opportunities that the job might have. For instance, we have lots of committees in our department, which could provide some enrichment. Many of the organizations that you may be working in may also have different committee work that you can be part of, or other types of growth opportunities that aren't necessarily part of your job, but provide that enrichment. Advancement is another kind of face of career advancement or career development. That's the more traditional climbing the ladder within the organization. Someone working in a, maybe Macy's as a entry-level cashier can obtain some skills to move beyond that into maybe management positions, or maybe even become a buyer, or whatever that might be. But those more traditional advancement opportunities. This idea of realignment, I think, is really interesting, where maybe you have to take a step down into another relevant area of the company to give your career a boost. Maybe that, again, rung of the job, jobs within that area of the organization might have more advancement opportunities. And relocation, so it might be time to go, might be time to move on, whether that's relocating out of the company, maybe somewhere different. But we're going to talk about how can we facilitate career development and career advancement for individuals that are receiving services that you're working with. So as we talked about in that first exercise, what is the person's meaning of career advancement? What does it mean to them? And again, clarifying that, getting from the person, what are their goals? What are their interests? Trying to pinpoint what that goal might be for the person, focusing on that goal. Is it to get more money? Is it to kind of move out of maybe a boring position into something more enriching or something more exciting or challenging? So really get from the person, what is it, how is it that they define career advancement? And then looking at readiness assessment and development. So in Psych Rehab, we talk about readiness assessment and development as a way to talk about, does the person believe that this advanced career or this other opportunity that they might be considering is possible and positive? Do they know enough about that other career or the other position to make an informed choice? So a way to develop those areas are to expose the person to maybe others who are doing that job, talking with HR in that organization, kind of asking some informational interviews, really getting a good idea of what's involved, so the person can really look at their own skills and what they may need to prompt them to consider that this would be something possible or positive. Using motivational interviewing skills to help resolve any ambivalence someone might have. People might be thinking through, what are the pros and cons of moving forward? What are some of the advantages of kind of staying here in my current position compared to what are some of the advantages if I move into another opportunity that would advance my career? Some people may feel very ambivalent about this. If you've attended any motivational interviewing trainings, you kind of know that this ambivalence is very typical when people are in this contemplation stage where they really are balancing, what's good about where I'm staying and what's, the comfort maybe, or I'm familiar with my coworkers, I know my boss, I know my job duties, versus moving on and really helping the person look at those pros and cons. And a cost benefit analysis is a tool that can help with that. Looking at, again, pros and cons for staying. So looking at both ends, what are the positives, what are the negatives of staying where I am, compared to what are the positives and the negatives of moving on into an advanced position. And then there might just be that discussion with the person, is this career or is this organization, job that I'm in, going to give me the advancement opportunities that I want? And helping that person consider, should I stay or should I go? And this checklist here, you can print this off and you can use this, helps in that decision-making process. And as you can see, the decision to stay at one's job or to begin searching for something else really does depend on many factors. One, does the person, and this is what you want to be having discussions with the individual about, with the person that you're working with, the job seeker or current employee. One, does the current job offer opportunities to achieve career goals? Does the current job offer opportunities? Oops, sorry about that. Does the current job offer opportunities to further my education, further, my opportunities? Third, does my current job contain what is important to me, my work values, my preferences, my interests? Is it stimulating? Is it challenging? Is it offering me those important characteristics of a job that are important in retention? And then after kind of asking yourself those questions, it may be clearer that you should start considering jobs outside of your current employer. And if you're still unclear about whether to move to another employer, this following checklist can be really helpful. If you look at the first question here, think about how you would answer these questions for your own or current employer. How can I find out about career opportunities with my current employer? So if this decision-making is, should I stay or, should I go? Well, let's think about, if I'm considering staying, how can I find out what's available in terms of career advancement? Talking to someone, looking at bulletin boards, if the person is, in the office setting, or job postings online, whatever that might be, who to talk to. Is it the supervisor? Is it the HR manager? Is it a director, other coworkers? So think about your own job. So how would you find out, and you can use the chat, what career opportunities are within your current employer? So I know for Rutgers, we have a lot of postings online to see what's available. How does your company post, or how would you go about learning of career advancement opportunities? Okay, let's see. Joel, oh, okay, we'll catch you later, Joel. Any other thoughts? Joel's just mentioning in the chat that he needs to take off, but he will be using the material with peers that he's working with. So think about your own employers. Who would you talk to? Who would you specifically need to talk to identify what career opportunities are available? Okay. Page, HR would have a list of newer opening positions. Yes. HR might have a list. The opportunity when you're, Jennifer, sometimes your work speaks for itself and you can get referrals. Yes, so when you're doing a good job, and we're going to talk about this idea of social capital and how it fits into your employment setting and how to be visible so that, like Jennifer mentioned, you can be observed as a diligent worker and kind of your work speaking for itself. And so talking to a supervisor, talking to an HR manager, what's the time frame? So encouraging the person that you're working with to provide a specific date of when they're going to get this information. We're kind of following somewhat of like a SMART goal plan with making sure we're adding some time frames. So helping the person identify, by the end of the month or by May 2nd or May, whatever it might be, helping them to determine when they're going to get this, what jobs are available. So maybe they've done some research or you've helped the person research what jobs might be available. maybe you've gone online or even used Indeed or other types of online databases or job banks to identify what are those jobs. Is training available? This is very important. Are those opportunities within your organization? Are they available, and are there training opportunities, and inquiring about those training opportunities? And then what are some next steps? What do I need to do next? So this kind of helps to focus efforts if the person is interested in staying where they are, exploring those opportunities within the company that they're in, kind of gives you a framework of how to help them kind of figure out those next steps. Any questions so far? But if you'll hear that I'm prompting you to kind of consider your own positions, consider your own job, just as a way of thinking through some of these questions and kind of decision-making processes. So there are specific career advancement skills, aside from supporting someone in returning to school and identifying academic programs or other types of further education that may help advance. There are some, requesting a salary increase, I guess that's not really, it is career advancement in the sense that the person is going to be compensated for their position, and requesting a salary increase, asking for a promotion or job change within that company are two skills that many times people who haven't worked for a number of years or haven't had opportunities to be in an employment environment may not have those skills readily available. So they lend themselves very well to maybe some role playing, some other work that you could be working with someone. Building social capital, we're going to talk about the importance of that. Networking is key. And then exploring other options outside of the current company. So here are some ways to help the person ask for a promotion. Has anyone on the call today, has anyone been in a position where they asked for a promotion or spoke with their employer about a job change? And how did it go? And if you're comfortable disclosing that and talking about it, what were some of the outcomes to that? Did you wait for a posting to come your way, or were you seeking out what opportunities were available and kind of spoke with some of the people we had on that previous checklist, spoke with HR or your supervisor, others? I'll just leave a few seconds for you to respond in the chat. So I'm asking you to consider your own positions, because as we walk through some of these steps to asking for a promotion or job change, it's kind of helpful to have that frame of reference to refer to. Lily, generally wait for an open position. So there's a position open, maybe you are waiting for that, but I would encourage you, and if you're working with individuals who are interested in moving beyond an entry-level position, to use some of those decision-making checklist points in the previous slide and kind of seek out what some of those opportunities might be. So you want to help the person identify what criteria is used for the promotion. So we have specific criteria within our department and university. Todd's mentioning our organization will contact groups via email about opening opportunities and to respond if interested. So your organization sends out an email requesting response if the person is interested. So you want to help the person identify what criteria are used for promotion. For us in in our role as educators within the university, a lot of that promotion criteria is around scholarship and publishing and getting grants. So there are specific criteria that we use in the department and in the school that is specifically related to promotion. So think about how in your position, what that criteria might be. So let's look at our own positions. And we're not going to get into breakout rooms or anything, and we can just kind of use the chat, or you could just consider these questions as we walk through those. But identify at least 3 criteria used for promotions within your organizations. So you can use the chat if you can think about 3 criteria that's used. So for our positions I mentioned, publications, grant funding, maybe, invitations to speak is another promotion criteria. So you can use the chat and identify a couple. If you can think of 3, that would be great. But again, getting you thinking about how to assist people that you're working with. If they are interested in asking for a promotion or a change, they first have to really identify within their company what's used for promotions. How do they measure whether or not someone is promotable or meeting the criteria. So if you want to use the chat and identify 1 or 2 criteria used in your organization. And then also consider, how did you get this information? We have a handbook, that is outlines all of the criteria. Page educational requirements, licensing requirements, leadership programs. So those are the criteria used. So meeting certain education requirements, maybe going back to school or gaining some additional licensing, different leadership programs. Thank you, Paige. I think those are great examples of those types of criteria. And who would you need to talk to find out what that criteria are? Would it be your direct supervisor? Is it the HR program or HR department? Is it another director? So think about how you would get that information. And we're going to move on into also discussing past achievements with someone. So Todd, thank you. Our VP of operations would be the person to go to. So with the promotion, kind of really having the deep discussion with someone about what their past achievements are. You want to have some kind of tools in place, or you want to be able to come to the meeting with your supervisor or the person's supervisor. They want to come prepared to discuss what some past achievements are that they've made that meet some of that criteria, or even if it doesn't meet the criteria, what are some of those past achievements? So even think about your own jobs. What are some of the past achievements that you would want to highlight, emphasize, make sure that you're describing accurately and enthusiastically to your supervisor or whoever you would speak with. So this is just a quick role play. And again, I just wanted to provide some tools and resources so that you can take these back and work with individuals who are interested in career advancement. But this is just a quick little, fill in the blank, and you could expand it or individualize it based on the person's interest, but help the person come up with, I'm interested in being promoted or changing jobs, to identifying what that position is. So maybe using some of that material from the checklist. I've been successful at, so discussing those past achievements. What were some of the successes that the person has had? Maybe, you know, if they are working in a customer service role, maybe they've had customers who have remarked on how pleasant they are, how helpful they've been, or maybe they're in technical roles and they were able to solve complex problems or whatever it might be, but identifying what those successes were, what those achievements were, and how long they've been successful in that role. So, you know, just again, doesn't have to follow this exactly, but just to give you some ideas of how to help the person. How do they demonstrate their ability to be innovative, or maybe innovation isn't important in the position? How they, you know, the ability to problem solve, or, you know, create more profit, whatever that might be, but identifying specifically how they showed that innovation. So maybe it was, you know, improving loss retention rates. Maybe, you know, they're working in retail and they were able to, you know, everyone on their shift, if they're a manager, whatever it might be, they were able to, you know, prevent further loss of merchandise or whatever it might be. And then again, kind of going back to maybe past employee evaluations. So thinking about your own employee evaluations, what have those evaluations said about you? Have they consistently stated that you were dependable and innovative, or whatever that might be, but really help the person dig back into what some of those achievements were, what some of those maybe past employee evaluations, and coming into a meeting with a supervisor or whoever they would be meeting with to request a promotion or job change with this information. Requesting a salary increase. Sometimes that's difficult, right? Sometimes it's you don't know if you deserve it, or if you know, if there's any funding available. You don't know how to make this request. And again, this is here to provide you with some tools to work with individuals around this. So help the person identify, again, listing those achievements. What makes the person deserve a salary increase, right? So what are some of the reasons why the person deserves an increase in salary? Justifying that request through examples, past achievements. And then this website here, assisting in researching desired salary. You can look up different jobs, different, or, you know, careers, different occupations, and you could get sort of a ballpark figure of what some of the desired salaries are. So it kind of helps when the person is considering requesting a salary increase to move to look at what some of the comparable salaries are, so that they can make an accurate request. And then coaching the person on ways to deal with potentially disappointment. So if the person isn't able to get the salary increase, if it's not something that's possible, so, you know, working with the person to figure out how they would manage that disappointment, and how they would respond to an employer if that's the case. And then finally, teaching other skills to negotiate for maybe non-salary related items, like more time off, tuition reimbursement, training opportunities, other leadership opportunities, mentorship opportunities. So there might not be funds available for a salary increase, but it might be possible to improve some other aspects of the job, and to use those tuition reimbursement or other training opportunities to help that person promote, advance in that position. So when we think about social capital, how would you define social capital? Is anyone familiar with what social capital is? You can just use the chat and define your meaning of social capital. And then we'll talk a little bit about it and the importance of its relationship to career advancement. You can use the chat. So some researchers and scholars in the field talk about social capital as it's a measure of degree of influence which we have through our networks. Networking is the means in which someone gains social capital. So when we're thinking about working with individuals who may have been out of the workforce for a while, the social capital that they have may not be a very large number. Maybe they may have limited opportunities to build social capital. When you're in a position, having that social capital really helps in our career advancement. We're spending time with coworkers, we're developing, and supervisors, we're developing trust, we're bonding over shared stories within the organization or language that we may use within the organization. There's a visibility within the company when you're developing and building the social capital. It's really about developing relationships that we can leverage when we're networking. Leverage for, Jennifer mentioned it early on in the chat, that our work speaks for itself, right? So if you're visible and you're within, you're networking and having these relationships with members of your organization, they're going to visibly see the work that you do. They're going to see you as a person, see your character, and all of that helps us use that in an influential way to develop and advance in careers. Again, because you're developing trust, there's an increase in opportunities, and developing that visibility is key. So there are a couple things that we can do to build social capital, right? We can build it within our organization, and we'll talk about each of these, and then also outside of the organization, how do we develop social networks within the organization, and how do we assist individuals in building social networks outside of the organization or the company that they're working with. So think about your own careers, whether it's the organization you're with now or maybe past organizations. Why is this idea of building social capital important, and has it been helpful in your positions? Has it enabled you to move beyond maybe more entry-level positions? So have those kind of internal thoughts as we go through this. Think about, how is spending time with coworkers helpful to your social capital? That influence that allows us to be visible and kind of put ourselves out there, helping job seekers see that. So maybe mentors within the organization. Even if there's not a formal mentoring program, maybe there are informal mentors, or even encouraging the person that you're working with, if they're interested in career advancement, to seek out someone who they may ask if they could be their mentor. Formal activities within the workplace. Maybe that's, again, committee work or other types of formal work. I know an agency I worked at, there were all types of committees. There was a committee on quality assurance and policies, and you could, and even like social activities. You could engage in those activities. You spoke with others who you may not have met with on a regular basis, but you're now like expanding your network by building that social capital outside of just maybe your team members. Jennifer mentions volunteer service can help too. Absolutely. Spending time with coworkers. Think about how are you spending.
I think that Joni has frozen. We'll give her a minute to see if she comes back on here. Ooh. I apologize to everyone. It looks like Joni has froze. Maybe she's going to come back on. Let's just give her a minute here.
I have no idea what happened, and I apologize. Literally just lost all of my connection, so bear with me. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna hop back on. Hopefully you are able to see this. Wow, sorry. Thank you for staying. So yeah, spending time with coworkers. I'm on a hotspot now, so just bear with that. How are you spending time with coworkers? So this is within the organization. Now thinking about outside of the organization, those professional associations, NJPRA within our state, the New Jersey Psych Rehab Association is one of those professional associations to build that capital, build that social capital, network with others, outside mentors. Many people have mentors inside, and then they may have some outside mentors. Maybe someone you're working with is interested in a certain type of career that they're
Yeah, it looks like Joni's having some connection issues. So I apologize about that. I know it's a little frustrating, but we were almost at the end here. So I'm just gonna put in our survey, which I spoke about earlier, and would be much appreciated if you were to go on there and fill that out. I'm also putting on the website for anyone that wants to access any of our other trainings or previously recorded trainings. Again, I apologize for the technical issues. Sometimes things happen, we just got to roll with them. But again, I appreciate everyone joining and hanging out for Joni to try to reconnect. But I understand if people have other things to do, you're more than welcome to hop off and enjoy the rest of your day. Uh, Hi, Lily. I put the link on there. I'll put it in there one more time in the chat. So I just posted the link for the survey in the chat. Let me see if I could just put the link itself on there.
I have no idea why this continued. So I have no idea. Maybe Southern New Jersey is experiencing this strange issue right now with connections, and sadly, I'm part of that. But I do want to finish and at least give you some opportunities to explore and hold on. Okay, so we can think about we were wrapping up anyway, but thinking about our own networks and the social capital. So thinking about one strategy that you used in your current job or past jobs to build social capital, and how did this help you advance in your career? So thinking about within your organization, outside of your organization, what was one strategy or, one or two strategies that you used to build your social capital. I know in a previous position that I had, I made a point to attend, we would have these, first Friday get-togethers. Every first Friday of the month, all of the staff would get together and have a more social opportunity to chat and kind of non-work related. And, that was a good way to build my social capital within that company. And it helped to, speak with directors and supervisors, and it may not have directly advanced my career with that position, but it gave me opportunities to try out, leadership roles within the organization on different committees. Thank you, Sean. So looks like Sean put up the evaluation just because of the nonsense of the disconnecting. So think about those questions. Sean will send these out in, I guess, within a week. You'll have that. And then it may just be time to move on and revisit what the person's interests, values, skills are. It might just be time to move on and help the person clarify values. What are some of those important characteristics in a job that the person would like to see? It could be a time to, really consider, is the current position really meeting my values? What's important to me? Ways that we can help someone clarify values are thinking about past jobs. What were some things I liked? What were some things that I didn't like? And, attaching a value to that. So maybe it's working with a team, maybe it's having that flexibility, maybe it's having a better work-life balance, interest inventories, self-directed search, and so on. So using some interest tools or just discussions around interest, identifying, developing skills, revising the career goal, using some of these online resources. ONET, the Occupational Information Network, and the Occupational Outlook Handbook provides some overview and some ideas about what occupations are out there to really help someone think about what it is they might want to advance within or to. So we won't pull it all together because of the issues we had with disconnecting. Think about, as you're, working this week with someone, or maybe thinking about who that person might be that you're working with, who you can see as wanting to advance in their career. Maybe they've mentioned it, or maybe you can help them resolve the ambivalence around it. Think about what barriers are preventing the person from moving forward. So is it related to their readiness in terms of their belief that moving forward is possible or positive, or moving beyond their position is possible or positive? And then think about some strategies from today, whether it's considering a salary increase, requesting a promotion or job change, using some of the online resources to help the person identify other careers, developing social capital by networking within and outside of the organization. So think about ways that you can assist the person, and how would you apply those, and then also what additional supports you might need to help the person advance in their career. Maybe you need some additional training on certain areas. Again, Sean will be sending these out, so you'll have all of those resources. You can certainly get in touch with us for any questions. Because there was such a wonky issue going on, please get in touch with me. I'll put my email in the chat if you want to follow up on anything we talked about. Just to remind you, here are some references and resources. The social capital stuff, I referenced the first reference, and then a newer online reference here, building social capital in the workplace. Really good information about that. I'll put my name here in the chat. And Sean, I think already put through the survey information. So here's my email. If you have questions or any other comments, we appreciate it. And then Sean, I don't know if you wanted to just want me to wrap it up with describing, we have a podcast series through the MHTTC Flourishing at Work. You can access it through these podcast modalities, Spotify, Apple Music, or Podbean. Use the QR code here to access any of our website information. Here's the recording. The recording should be up shortly.
Yep, and I just put the link to the website in the chat
Perfect.
also.
Thank you. And then certificates will be sent out and emailed to you all. And then please connect with us. Don't hold the little bit of disconnecting and the technical issues against us. It was just the bizarre occurrence here in South Jersey. So thank you for being patient with that. And it's I think it's at the top of the hour now. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Appreciate you are having some patience with us.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Sean, for the patience as well.
Yes, of course.